This is a more than tragic occasion in my life, and looking out, I can see in most of you as well. I had an interesting relationship with Alex, and I'm so glad Jamin stepped in after the rap song, because I thought he was going to get me one more time by having me have to come up after a rap song, knowing I'm not a big rap fan. There's been a number of those occasions since his passing. One is when his Aunt Katrina handed me a dress to wear to a memorial in Kosrae. Those of you that know me know I don't wear dresses, and I thought, wow, he is going to get me over and over again. So there I was in a dress, thinking only for Alex. And then I had a dream where I was packing a car to bring somewhere, and there was a box that kept coming up by my feet that I kept kicking away, and it kept coming, and I kept moving it back and putting it back in place, and finally I opened it up, and there was a bright blue Grover from Sesame Street with his arms out like this, looking up as only Alex can do. I now own a bright blue Grover that I have by my bed every night to keep him close. Alex was a mischievous young man. I'm from, I guess you would call it, the other side of the family, but Liz and I go way back as well. We spent a childhood together. We built a family together with Scott and with Alex. I was the one that said, cut your hair, take a bath, eat your vegetables, do your homework, and yes, I can help with the book report. I was that person who picked him up and threw him in a tub most times when I saw him and made him go to bed. We had a lot of fun. We laughed. We traveled and explored, and he was the kid with the too many rocks in his pockets and the filthy fingernails carrying the frog up to our faces and chasing armadillos so that they ran over me. He was the kid that sat behind me on many a journey to Whistler Mountain with his foot under my seat doing this the whole time, to the point where you turn around with your hand poised and you whip around, and he had a grin on his face that you would never be able to avoid joining. And so I would laugh, as would everyone else in the car, after hundreds and hundreds of miles of him doing that. He was the kid who, when I ran my first triathlon, I was dead tired and laid in a sleeping bag in a tent, that came in and would not leave me alone, to the point where I was screaming at his father to get him out of there. I was screaming at my friend Keela to come get him away from me, or I was going to kill him. And I finally got up and dragged him out by his feet into the middle of which he just simply came back in, and I simply had to get back up. That's what we did. I was his Nini. He would call from parking lots and say, Nini, what are you doing? I'm hungry. Oh, okay, like out of the blue. Can you bring me something? And I'd say, and he goes, and 6 of my friends. And I believe that the Batemans were at the house that day when I began to make peanut butter sandwiches and drove them to a parking lot. I was the person he would sit down and do a book report with. And if those of you have ever read The Ear, the Eyes, and the Hand, it's some kind of kid's book. And he wrote a book report, and I was editing it, and not once in this mystery of a book report did he mention the ear, the eyes, and the hand. Now, I have to tell you that if you title a book The Ears, the Eyes, and the Hand, it has to have something to do with the story. I would have never guessed that this child would have been the prolific and beautiful writer that he was, as I sat there and tried to figure out what in God's name the ear, the eyes, and the hands meant, and basically made it up as we went along. He was a joy. He was a pill. He was funny, and he was loving, and many times he did not know that. When he was a small child, we were camping, as I'm looking out at our family and realizing, and he fell with a life jacket on into an ice cold river. It was a glacier-fed lake. And he said not one word. Not one word. And his lips were freezing. He was turning blue in his face. And I threw him back in the boat. And I said, "Son, why didn't you say something?" And he never answered. And I realized then that in order to love Alex, you had to reach in. That he wasn't going to reach out. That if I wanted him close, I had to pull him close. And so I spent the years after that trying to pull him close and hold him near. He went through some awful times. As a matter of fact, this lovely scenery we're on now, I remember being down here hunting his hide. And not for a joyful reason. I remember trying to find him many a night, worried for his safety because, well, I'm just that kind of nag. And then he would show back up. And later, when he went away to Wilderness, he wrote me a letter, and he had a couple of things to say. One was, thank you for never expecting less of him than he was. And thank you for looking over your glasses at me, because he always knew that meant he was only at 89%. And then, before he died, the last time I saw him, I was trying to take a nap again, which you might think I spend a lot of time napping. He came in and laid beside me in my bed and proceeded to talk. And talk. And talk, and talk, and talk, and talk, and talk. And I realized that I never wanted him to shut up. That it was such a joy to listen to who this young man had become. From the boy that got whisked away to Wilderness, to the young man I saw when I showed up at John Dewey who wanted to see the Sistine Chapel, and that I had promised him to take him there as soon as he was ready, and that we would see all those beautiful things that he had become so close to in his life. And so, what I think of when I think of Alex is I think of a gift. When you live 3,000 miles away from your family, and when you're alone or a single parent, you have the luxury of being able to bring people together that are your family, and you make new what it lives far away. And I see everyone out there, Elena and Sasha. Is that Elsa? Keela, Liz. I see you all out there, and I remember the family, Leslie and Matt, that we all made together, and how we tried to wrap him and Scott and all of us in love. And a gift is something that just kind of happens. You know, you didn't ask for it, didn't expect it, didn't deserve it. It didn't belong to me, but I got it. And I got to love that gift freely and without strings and without complications. And for that, I want to thank Liz and Scott for the gift that I will treasure my whole life. He wrote in the last letter to Kathy and I that we were family and that he loved us. And that when he had doors, they would always be open for us. And I can only hope now, as he went out in that ocean laughing and actually calling for help, I can only hope now that he has his door, and that when I join him, I will be able to walk through his door. Thank you.